So welcome y'all to our Body Electric weekly webinar. We are already past the halfway point of September, which is bananas. We are still kind of living on the wave of Morning Meltdown. They're going to be doing, as you guys know, a sort of a second release of Pumpkin Spice Shakeology on October 1st. We've got 6 weeks of the work coming up at the end of September. So we've spent a little bit of time over the course of the last, I think, 3 weeks, right? We did an end of August power hour where we really kind of stepped it up a level and did sort of a different power hour to really finish August strong. Then the first week in November, we got together and really mapped out our month, planning our challenge groups and start days for things and social media content. So this past week on our team mastermind with Amy Snow, it was brought up to me, and even in private messages too from various coaches, that people were still feeling a little bit stuck on making progress with their individual challenge groups. Crafting an invitation for that, following up with people about their challenge group, and really executing on the challenge group. And it's funny because, like you guys have heard me say 100 times, we can share about our journey as far as like share about our shakes, share about our workouts and all that, which seems to come pretty easy for most of us. But the hard part is the strategy. The hard part is sort of the inviting and, the putting it out there and the following up and making sure that we fill that challenge group. When I think back to my early business, I think about how many times I was super stressed out because I had like one person commit to my themed challenge group. And then it was like, well, now I have to have more people, right? So then I had to work harder to fill that group. But really, that's what we should all be experiencing in our business, right? Is coming up with an idea. It either succeeds or fails, putting it out there, and then if it fails, doing something else. And that's the whole real gist of being a network marketer, right? Is trying to see what sticks and how we can really connect with people and that sort of thing. So I thought, we've done these sort of high level things like planning our month, planning our social content, whatever, our calendar. But let's drill it down just very specifically to how do we lead a challenge group? How do we really start that process? Okay, so all I wanted to do was just walk you guys through what I do with sort of an action hour associated. So I'm going to tell you what I do for step one, and then I'm going to give you like 10 minutes to do the same thing. Okay? So this doesn't have to, like if you're halfway through and you're like, this sucks the joy out of me, then please don't do it this way. Find whatever way works for you and roll with that. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to stop obsessing over what theme is the right theme. That's step number one. So just pick one, or if you did, and I think I saw Tracy posted a poll on her social media to see which of two people were most interested in, and one of them stood out more than the other. That's an option too, but I wouldn't obsess beyond that, right? So put out the poll if you need to, or just make the choice as to what theme you're gonna roll with. So I'm gonna give you 10 seconds right now, because it doesn't take any more than 10 seconds to decide what your theme is going to be for October. We talked about some ideas last week. Football foodie, fall foodie. What else did we talk about? Clean up your coffee. Ending the year strong. I don't know. We had multiple ideas that came across. For me personally, I'm running my fall foodie challenge group again. So tailgate, something to do with like tailgate food or whatever you want to come up with seasonally. That's a cool idea. So just pick one. Ready? Okay, set, go. We've got our theme. Now we're going to pick our start date. So when in October is going to be your first day? Now, before you go thinking about, I don't know, when is the best day? Whatever. Nope. Okay, pick one. So I'm looking at October. I vote you go with either the 7th or the 14th, because in my experience, choosing a date later in the month doesn't create enough urgency for people to execute on their share a cart. If your group didn't start till October 28th or October 21st, what's going to make somebody put their order through in September? Right? So I would go with something early to mid-October. You can make the decision right now as to whether or not you want to have a prep week in there, or if you want to just start with day one. The other decision you probably should make right now is you've got your theme, you've got your start date. Are you going to focus on something program specific? Or is this going to be just open program? You know, people can be doing what they want, but we're going to be focusing on fall food. Or people can be doing what they want, we're going to be focusing on cleaning up your coffee. So kind of make your decision as far as like, what's the overall purpose of the group and what's the requirement for people to participate. Does that make sense so far? So congratulations, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic. This is just my natural state. So I'm not trying to be like rude. This is just how I would normally talk. So congratulations, you now have all the details you need to run a successful challenge group, to put one out there. Sometimes we think about it way too hard, right? Like, I need to sit down and set aside time to figure out my theme and my start date. Nope, just decide, 10 seconds. Okay, so now what we wanna do is we're gonna take this spaghetti and we're gonna throw it to the wall and see what sticks. So I wanna give you I'm gonna give you about 10 minutes or so, because it sometimes takes a hot minute. Based on your theme that you've chosen, what is one problem that people have that could be solved by your specifically themed group? Okay, so for me, fall foodie, talking about tailgate recipes, football food, that sort of thing. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff right now all over social media about people who tailgate at college games. They're all about their go Colts, go Bengals, whatever the case is, right? And they're all about sharing. Have you guys seen people sharing these like food.com videos of like cheesy mac and cheese enchilada cheesy bakes or whatever? Like they're all cheese. Like all they do is just throw like 17 cheeses into a bowl and melt it. And the video is them showing the melty cheese. Like, so people are just like, right? That's what people are sharing on their social right now because they are really excited about football season and those types of foods. But I'm sitting here knowing what I know about nutrition, and I'm like, no, don't eat the Velveeta, right? So I'm going to purposely structure my post around, hey, if you like those kinds of foods, you're going to be tailgating on the weekend, whatever, let me help you through that and give you some healthier alternative recipes, right? If you want an example to go off of, I just made an invitation post last night. You can copy and paste it if you want to. I'll read it to you really fast, and then I'm going to give you a few minutes. It says, last year, my absolute favorite online support group of all time was a success, so I decided to do it again. I know the current temperature in the Midwest is still hot, but we both know that in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we will be all into our fall-loving selves. Football, fall leaves, fall candles, pumpkin spice coffees, and lattes. As my grandma used to say, it'll be sweatshirt season. As the kids say, basic. And with cooler weather comes the comfort foods. Chili, chicken noodles, tailgate appetizers like wings, nacho dips, potato skins, and burgers. I know I'm a sucker for these foods too, and I'm a sucker for sweatpants, Saturday football, and an occasional beer in front of the fire. What if I told you I have some recipes in the fall foods department that are healthier alternatives and won't eat your time to make? Things like chili, chicken noodles, crock-pot buffalo chicken, sweet potato skins, barbecue chicken, and jalapeno cheddar burgers, right? Those all still sound good. For my October group, I'll be leading folks through 30 days worth of fall food recipes, complete with weekly grocery lists to make it easy on you. I also have 2 remaining promo codes, $30 off opportunities for those who opt in now. My fall foodie group kicks off in October, and all participants will receive automatic access to my virtual gym for the holiday season, where even more healthier alternative recipes will exist. If you're a sucker for all things fall, this is the group for you. So if I've identified, right, that there are somebody out there reading this who is a sucker for fall food and tailgating recipes, and I'm trying to harness their inner desire to be healthier by saying, hey, you can still enjoy those things in a better way, and I'm going to lead you through it for 30 days. So I want you to pick the problem that your themed group solves. And I'm going to give you about 10 minutes or so to go ahead and craft or start crafting a post. An invitation. You're going to ask people, there's going to be a call to action. You're going to ask them to reach out and message you or drop an emoji or whatever, okay? Ready, set, go. Okay, cool. Did you guys make some progress on the invite? Okay. So now we would be totally, okay, so real quick though, before I move on, make sure that you're sharing that invitation not only on your social, or on your public page, but also in your stories. Both of those as well. Okay, so far as a recap, we picked our theme, we set a start date, we established requirements and whether or not it would be program specific, and then we just created an invitation post. So we've done 4 steps so far. Step number 5, right? You know what I'm going to say. The public invite post is only going to be seen by like 15% of your friends. So now we have to reach out to people. So what I want you to do is I want you to whether you're using Streak or whatever method you've chosen for your tracking system, I want you to reach out to the people who you would consider to be sort of your hot list, like people who you've been talking to recently, maybe people that you've seen on social who have posted, recipes like the cheesy Velveeta thing, right? I heard today on a call recording that somebody that's a top coach in the business was talking about how they go about invitations. And I thought it was a brilliant way of wording kind of the way I approach invitations too. And she said that the best thing about how she approaches it is that when people become coaches on her team, they automatically duplicate because it doesn't feel salesy and it doesn't feel weird and it just feels totally natural. So what she said was, she says, your job is not to close the sale when you reach out to somebody. Your job is to open their mind. So the purpose of your reach out in a lot of cases is to see if the person is open to the concept of a fall foodie group. And if they're not, and they say like, no, whatever, I'm not interested, okay, then just move on. So this particular coach I was listening to was talking about like an official method for this, and I can't remember the name of it. But she said basically you have to think about your conversations with people, especially when you're opening the door, as if you're telling them something factual. Like she said, a lot of times, coaches will waver on their belief about whether or not this program or this challenge group could really change somebody's life. And so their belief comes out in the invitation. It comes out in the conversation. So she said, instead, imagine that you're asking them. I think the example she gave was, your job is to open their mind to the fact that electricity is a fact. Like electricity exists. They cannot argue that electricity exists. So she wants you to think about inviting to your challenge group just like you would think of electricity as a fact, right? Electricity exists is a fact. And if they decide to say, no, that's just not true, right? That's just a switch on the wall. That's not electricity. Then at that point, you're realizing that they're not open to the idea. And so therefore, then you redirect the conversation. Okay, great, no problem. How are your kids? Got it? So your invitation is more like, are you open to this idea? Like, I'm putting together a group starting in October for men and women or women or whatever doing XYZ, like explain your theme. Is this something that might appeal to you? And if they say no, get out of my face or whatever the case is, they won't. But if they say no, or they just close the door, that's just your no. That's just the way you know that they're not open to the idea. And that's okay. You can ask somebody else. Okay. So I always like to start with sort of like my hot list of people that I've kind of been talking to anyway, to see if this particular theme might be a good fit for them. Usually I like to word it in a way that insinuates it would be perfect for them, as opposed to letting them decide whether or not it's perfect. I usually like to say, I thought of you because, right? So I'm going to give you just a few minutes here to reach out to at least 3 to 5 people. If it's a hot prospect, somebody you've been talking to, the conversation might look a little different. But if it's not, and it's a cold prospect or somebody you haven't been talking to, it might just look like, are you open to this idea? And if they argue the facts or whatever, right, then you redirect the conversation. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When when you are making these invites, like when you're talking about your 3 to 5, is this brand new customers or people who maybe are just bod and you want to introduce them to your
Hmm.
product, or they haven't been active in a challenge group?
I would say
Or
it kind of, the answer to that depends on your individual goals. So if your individual goal is to hit Success Club and you have somebody who has not ordered a challenge pack, but they're a bod member, right? That I would consider that to be potential because that could bring you to your goal. If you're not and you're like, I just want to help five, then you're looking more at like, okay, who could I reach out to who I could start on a product? Does that make sense? So I think the answer to that is it's tied to your individual goal.
okay, that does make sense. And
Yeah.
my other quick question is I've never ran a challenge group around nutrition. It's always the couple that I've done have been centered around a workout program. So this
Hmm.
is good, stretching me, but it's like completely uncharted territory
Hmm.
because I've never participated in one that's just for nutrition. So I would love quick advice on, I don't know what to put as an expectation
Hmm.
because I am
Yep.
and that's keeping me from inviting because I don't know what the expectation is yet. So I would love a little quick advice on that.
Yeah. So I wrote down our steps here and it's step 6. So we're on step 5 right now, but I'll get to it here in a hot minute. But
Oh,
basically, yeah. So, and I'm really glad you said that because it's making me realize that I should have called that out specifically. That obviously the group you're choosing doesn't have to be centered um, around nutrition. I have found that it's, I guess, maybe my personal forte to do that. Like I feel like I can involve more value as opposed to with fitness. It's like they get access to bod, but I'm not in their house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like coaches aren't always trainers. Like I don't really know how else I can add value. Whereas with nutrition, I can give them the recipes and I can give them extra things. So, but that's a good point. Like we've done some things in the past. Some of you guys who've been around for a while, we used to do this is just, it wasn't really a challenge group, but it was a brief group that we would host on Facebook for the Super Bowl. And we would do a Super Bowl challenge. And so we would put up like different exercise moves. I would usually explain them and I would put pictures with them on the blog. And we would challenge people to do those things during the Super Bowl, which sounds crazy, but we had crazy luck with that. Like we had so many people, like we challenged them to like a wall squat during halftime. Like how long can you hold the wall squat? Like, so I mean, you can always, if nutrition is not your jam, so let me just say that at first, you can always stick with fitness. If fitness is your thing, you can come up with something unique for that. Like if you still want to run a football themed group, right? People watching football on Saturdays, if you could have that kind of spin on it. So that's the first thing I'll say, and I appreciate you calling me out on the nutrition thing because it's important to know that you don't have to do the nutrition thing. But we will get to the expectations in just a minute. But I want to make sure that before we talk about that, I want to make sure that we've put the invitation out and that we're reaching out to people to connect with them because sometimes your expectations, like if you might have to keep an open mind about your expectation based on the conversations that you're having. Like it might be in your mind that everybody has to buy a challenge pack and everybody has to have bod and whatever, right? But then when you're having conversations with people, if you keep running up against a wall where everybody's okay with bod, but they don't want the challenge pack, you might have to just adjust your goals instead of scrapping the whole group idea. Does that make sense? So have a general idea of requirements that you're going for so that you know how to direct these people in the conversation, but be open to the fact that those expectations might have to change as you talk to people. Is that making sense? Okay. So I just right now want you to reach out to like 3 to 5 people to kind of get a feeling for whether or not they are open to the idea of your themed challenge group for October. All right, for the sake of time. Step number 6 is identifying what this group is going to look like. Everybody's a little bit different as far as how they like to plan, whether or not they want to be a total control freak and know exactly what every lead post is going to be and what it's going to be about from the get-go. Other people like me are a lot more spontaneous. I like to listen to kind of what my group is doing and the sort of the pace that they're at before I start to just plug stuff in. So this is where we can really start to write down 2 different things. I want you to just, on your sheet of paper, just draw a line down the center of your paper. And on one side, I want you to write down the expectations that you have for your challengers in that group. And I don't just mean expectations like, what did they have to buy to get in? I mean expectations for, what are you wanting out of this group? Are you wanting to create community? Are you wanting to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Unite like-minded people? Are you looking to establish new friendships? Are you looking to whatever? So whatever you're looking, are you looking for people to plug in every day? Are you looking for them to chime in every day with their win, like we've done before on the Body Electric team? How are you going to have them check in? Like, what is it going to look like to be a challenger in your group? So I'm going to give you just a minute to jot down some bullet points for what your expectations are for your challengers. It's good to think through this, I think, because then when we're having our conversations with people, we know what we're looking for, right? As you get older and wiser in the business, you'll start to learn that it's not a lot of fun to be in the convincing business, to be in a conversation with somebody who's really on the fence and you feel like you're really having to like pull them over the edge, right? Like that sucks. And so if you have expectations in your mind of how this group is going to run, everything about it is positive, everything is high energy, these are the requirements. If that person's on the fence, next person, right? Okay, next up, let me know when you're ready. So I think thinking through these expectations really helps for the end result of having a high energy, productive challenge group, which is something we talked about last week, right? So, yeah. So on the other side of your little line, I want you to write down what the expectations you have for yourself are as the leader of the group. If you were paying whatever your requirement to enter your group is, right? $40 for a BOD membership or $160 for a challenge pack. If you were spending that money and making the investment in yourself, what would you hope that the coach on the other side is going to do for you? AKA, what are your expectations of yourself when it comes to leading the group? And this is different for everybody. Some people like to show up every day, live stream weekly, lead post, right? Like there's all different kinds of expectations. So whatever is your jam is your jam. All right, cool. Okay. So we have done steps 1 through 6. We picked our theme, we set a start date, we established requirements, we crafted an invitation post, which is really just our first one. We sent some messages to some initial people to see if they're open to the idea. And we have identified our expectations for challengers and our expectations for ourselves as the leader of the group. So here's the cool part. This is where it turns into like a choose your own adventure book, right? We're not going to do anything else until we repeat steps 4 through 6, which is another invitation post, more direct messages, and potentially tweaking any expectations, right? So that's just like a wash, rinse, repeat. And I want you to make sure that you're putting your challenge group, your theme, your concept, all of it, you're putting out an invitation at least 3 times before you ditch the idea. Like at least 3 times. If you posted it at night, post it in the morning with different language and a different picture, right? If you're doing the fall foodie idea, try the invitation post with a yummy picture of some sort of food item, but then try it again with maybe a picture of you and your kid or something. You know what I mean? Like change it up so that the invitations are different each time. And the cool thing about this too is once you have this kind of planning in place, your eyes will open up a little bit more when you're on social for entertainment, right? Like when you're scrolling your Facebook at the end of the night or Instagram, because let's just be real, we all do. And there's somebody on there that's posting about, you know, what should I take to the football game this weekend or whatever, like something having to do with something tied into your group. Now you have somebody else that you can connect with. And that's a point that I want to really drive home. I put like 16 stars next to this so I wouldn't forget to say it. This post that you guys crafted tonight, the reason why I call it an invitation post is because it has a call to action. It's asking people, it's giving them the invitation. Will you join me? Are you interested? Right? You're asking them to take action. But, so you're going to do at least 3 of those before you ditch the theme. But I think it's cool to also pop in some content on your social over the next few days that has to do with your theme. Maybe it's a new recipe you're going to try for buffalo cauliflower bites. Maybe it's a question about, you know, your favorite pregame appetizer or whatever, right? Like asking those kinds of polls, asking that for questions on your social media is great for engagement. Posting another picture of some sort of yummy food, whoever likes it, whoever comments on it, whoever asks for the recipe, those kinds of things. Like if you can sort of use that curiosity marketing concept, then I really think that then you kind of have a whole new world of people that you can reach out to, right? If they've commented on or liked something that's in that world of your theme, then it's perfect for you to reach out and say, did you know that I'm hosting a group about this? I saw you liked my post. Not sure if you're open to the idea. Okay. So even in those non-direct call to action invite posts, we're still sort of looking to see who might be interested in the group. And then those become our direct messages. Does that make sense? Okay. So we follow up with people. And then the final step here is once you have some folks that are all in, that's when we focus on closing the sale, getting them on board, get the share cart done, and then we create the group. My suggestion to you, kind of like we talked about last week, is to create the group and make sure that the about section, the description, is filled out as detailed as you can with expectations and actions you want your challengers to take. And then also to consider putting a video in there, whether it's a live stream or pre-recorded video of you. And all you have to do is welcome them with excitement, explain the theme, explain your expectations of yourself as the leader, which you've already identified. What are you going to do for them? And then you're going to end the video by sharing your expectations of them. if they want to see success, if they want to make this a successful group, if they want to be part of a community, if they want to really make a difference and change their lifestyle and tackle this goal of theirs, they're going to engage in the group. Okay, and so that is all you need to do. I know that we really, so in my opinion, this wasn't a lot. This was just dissecting it, right? This was really like really simple steps, like picking a theme, setting a start date. These things are sort of like the bread and butter and the little nitty gritty detail of what it means to be a Beachbody coach. Come up with an idea, pitch it, talk to people. If it sucks, start over. If it doesn't and you have people interested, crush it. Rinse, wash, rinse, repeat over and over every single month. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Of course, the step after that is to start the group itself. But does anybody have any questions about how that works as far as thought process? Was it helpful? Was it too beginner? Okay, good. Sometimes I think we overthink it. I mean, if you guys think about it, like we talked about this overall mapping of your month. What was that? 2 Wednesdays ago? And even last Wednesday, we talked about theme ideas, which means it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days before our mastermind group where people were talking about how they still didn't know what their theme was going to be. It took you 6 days? No, it's 6 wasted days. So from now on, you map out your month and you make that decision right there, right? We just did this. We started our call late. In 40 minutes, we came up with our theme, set our start date, reached out to 3 to 5 people, made an invitation post, described our expectations, and we're ready to go. We have our challenge group ready to go. The only thing we haven't done yet is fill it with people and create the actual physical Facebook group or my challenge tracker group, whichever you're doing. So to me, that's a great use of productive time, 40 minutes to create a challenge group and start putting it out there. But unfortunately, it's already the 18th of the month. So our invitation posts, our call to actions, our content now around our theme is going to have to be upped. Okay, so I know tomorrow you're just going to be dying to post your split leg jump from Morning Meltdown because you did it so much better and you're so much stronger. But if it's not getting you to the goal of adding somebody to your fall foodie group, it should not be the dominant focus. Put it in your story. That's cool. Somebody's interested in your split leg jump, but don't assume that that is going to get somebody to be like, hey, help me, right? Keep talking about the problem and how you can solve it. Okay. Really, no questions? Now I'm worried that I was like too sarcastic and you're all like, she's so offensive. Okay.
I actually found this very helpful because it made me get it done. So thank you.
Yeah. I like incorporating this action concept into the call. Okay. So we have, let's see, I was looking at my calendar here. We have 2 calls back to back coming up, right? The 25th and the 2nd of October. And then I think we're going to be I'll be traveling in October. So I think we're going to be taking a couple weeks off in the middle of October, or I can figure out how to live stream in the team page or something different. But then just so you guys have it in your calendar, Wednesday, October 23rd is, we have a special guest speaker on the call. His name is Brad Bizjack. He is an amazing, I don't even know he's not really like a motivational speaker, but he kind of is. Like he gives you, he's kind of like a Josh Coates, but in my opinion, he's very, very gifted at what he does. He's very good at helping you kind of get out of your own way. And I'm super excited for him he reached out to me and wanted to talk to our team specifically, which was really cool. So he's going to lead that for us on October 23rd. And I'm still working out the details to see if October 2nd is going to be a guest speaker as well. But you can mark that 23rd date down officially. Okay, cool. All right, you guys. Well, I don't have anything else. So if you guys don't have any questions, I will pop the recording up tomorrow in the team page. If you thought it was helpful, here's the key to this business. Doing this kind of work is what coaches do, right? Becoming a successful, I'll say, diamond coach is doing this exact challenge group creation over and over and over again every single month. Becoming a star diamond coach in this business, becoming someone who really seeks long-term success, means you do this work and you duplicate this work. So when this recording gets posted tomorrow, you tag your coaches, right? You ask them to tune in and maybe even help them through navigating their first challenge group. All right, you guys, I will talk to you later. Have a good night.